But my guest today is someone who took a radical change to move from a professional career into developing product in the well-being space. So Swan Ricco is the founder of Lifa Lab, and she's created a range of innovative products that offer transparency to encourage people to take natural ingredients and eliminate toxins and chemicals from their daily consumption. Lifa Lab enables people to take charge of their health and well-being, as well as help reduce our carbon footprint. And she has a range of amazing things, from capsules to lipstick. So this is a beautiful lip gloss, which is one of hers that I'm wearing, to collagen biscuits, to teas, and so forth. Welcome, Swan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity to be able to talk to you and also all the followers here. Yes, I'm Swan Ricco. I'm the founder of Lifa Lab. It's a health and wellness brand based in Kingston, Canberra.
Wonderful. So I just want to acknowledge that we have Isabel Reeves online, who says hi, and also Susie, who says looking forward to connecting with you again. So you're among friends here.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about the beginning of your brand. So what was the sort of catalyst? What was the moment that made you want to jump into developing this brand?
So basically, coming from a background like in landscape, I'm by trade landscape architect and urban designer. So a few years back, from like going through lots of hardship and you know, like life happens to all of us in ways. I try to find ways that like I could maintain my health and wellness naturally, but culturally we do that because our grandmas and our mothers kind of like pass on those wisdom to us in a ways. So I didn't know like those are important things for me until I needed things that I for myself, basically. So mostly natural things. So when you go through a hardship, you go to doctor, that they prescribe you with lots of chemicals and
they do big prescription
synthetic pills. It's so easy, and you don't know whether you trust them or not, but you put your trust in them, you take them and you see, oh, this is not me, it's not actually helping me, it's destroying me. So that was a breaking point for me to try to find like more kind of a natural approach to my own health and wellness, and nothing was in the market. So I kind of gone back to my own roots and started to do the research while I was working, you know, as a landscape architect, urban designer, and later on in marketing and sponsorship phase. You know, you keep changing your career in a ways to find yourself, and that's totally okay. You don't necessarily need to have to follow what you studied, because you make decision based on your circumstances in life generally. So yeah.
And that's certainly something I relate to too. You know, my degrees are in law, Chinese linguistics and international relations, but the Joyful Frugalista has nothing to do with any of those. Neither is the Joyful Business Club.
And that's a good thing about life. You know, you change and you kind of evolve in a different ways, and not necessarily like you have to follow one road, because like, you know, if we look at life with a journey and with lots of opportunities, we just find our own way of journey and opportunity and then pursue that. And our passion, like if my passion 10 years ago wasn't like creating a health and wellness brand. I was like a landscape architect. I wanted to build cities, and that's what I did back in Sydney and a little bit in Canberra. So but like when you kind of like spiritually, we need to look after our souls and our body, and that's how humans are. Like that's the most important part for us as careers, or like other things are the secondaries in our life. So our spirits is more important, our bodies are more important. So for me, that was the breaking point, and I started like doing the research to find something, and I've gone back to my roots and try to tried my grandma's remedies and everything. And knowing that, like, I grew up from the age of 7 learning those things from my grandmas and mother, kind of like it was for me as a part of my lifestyle. I didn't know that's something extraordinary. So I decided to focus on that more, and made some stuff for myself, and people wanted that as well. Like, so my friends was like, where can we buy your stuff? Like, what do you take? Like, how come your face look like, your skin's like this? I'm like, I don't know. I use, and they were like, what sort of cream you buy? Do you use like Chanel, Dior? I'm like, no, they're so expensive. I make everything myself.
So you obviously have a strong relationship with your mother, and it sounds like particularly your grandmother. So I just want to talk a little bit about their cultural heritage. So, you know, what kind of culture are they from? Where are they from? How have they got this kind of cultural knowledge that they've imparted to you?
So my background goes back to like my grandma's like Armenians backgrounds, and we have my mom's side. I have like Russian and French and Armenian. That side's like we were kind of really mixed Mediterranean, if that makes sense. So in that regions, like everything's mostly focused on nature. So you get everything from the food. We look at food as like a nurture for the body. We don't look at food as something you feed your body. So whatever you eat, it needs to be nurture to your body and your soul. So we look at it as like, we look at food as medicine, as like not for filling. So I kind of like, and also in within the same culture, women have a very much strong role in the families as a nurturer and as the leaders. So as a leader, you have to look after the family and kids and everything. And that's why the wisdom of like how to maintain your body and mind through natural ingredients, through all the remedies passed on to the girls of the family, especially the elders. So I'm the only girl in the family of my dad's side, actually. And I got all the wisdom. So
So it all passed to you.
yes. So I have to keep the legacy going. And that's why I created the whole Lifa Lab, because it's not only about me and my family. I want to make a change. I want all women around the world understand the values of natural ingredients and how actually they can maintain their health, their mental health, their physical health, everything through all these beautiful ingredients that Mother Earth provides us for billions of years. You know, it's not something like the medicine, like modern medicine's 100 years age, and lots of chemicals and synthetics are now actually affecting people's organs in a very bad way. So we have to go back to our roots. We have to kind of see what, like, sort of like, lots of people talk about organic, like they say, oh, what should we have organic? Well, organic is all our roots, you know, like it wasn't used to be fruit used to be small. It wasn't like big, you know, good looking, because they actually changed everything in a way. So it is kind of things, yeah, culturally we learn from it. I guess these days everything has changed because of the technology, obviously, and time. People like my age is, I'm in my late 30s, and at that time we didn't have TikTok or you know, YouTube's or any of social media. So I spend lots of times with my grandmas and aunts and mom, like learning lots of different things. So yeah.
Well, thank you. And so you talked about how people were asking you for advice about what you're using, particularly in your skincare and so forth. And that sounds like it may have been something that gave you the idea to start your company. But what was it like, you know, having these ideas? What were some of these first steps for how you got going?
Yeah, so at first they were like, the first kind of like big, huge moment for me was a friend of mine who was 19 years old, and she was diagnosed with menopause in the age of
19.
19. Yes. And after like she went to lots of 4 different doctors, they said, oh, this is an early menopause and then we can't do anything for you. And she was very upset. And she
I can
was like,
imagine.
suicidal actually when she came to me, and she was like, yeah, she cried, she said, I could never get married, my boyfriend's gonna leave me. Like, it's like as women we always have that question about our worth and all, like, am I good enough? Any problem happens, we first challenge ourselves. So I was like, no, this is not right. Like, don't listen, I give you a blend, and it's all natural, it doesn't have like any chemicals in it, and if you don't, do you have allergy to this and that? And she was like, no, I take anything. So I said, I made the blend and I gave it to her. Now it's actually, we have a product called Romantica. It's actually now selling at our store. And I gave her that one. And after 3 weeks, she came and back to me and she was crying. She said, you saved my life. It's like, I got my period. It's just like my life changed. You are my hero. And I was like, good. Like, I still getting goosebumps talking about it. I felt like, wow, what a powerful energy of changing someone's life. And she was like, okay, where can I buy this? Like, how can I make this? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how you can buy this stuff. So for me, I didn't know where to start. And she was like, I buy this. If you make it, please make it. I buy this. Anyone will benefit from this. And I was like, okay. So I started researching how I could do it. In Australia, there are lots of regulation in place, TGA, Food Authority, in terms of packaging. So I had to start there researching first, like, how can I start a health and wellness product, especially the one that actually you consume. So there are like different regulation in place for what you put on your skin or what you eat. So it's totally different. So it's like a lots of different platforms. So I started researching everything, and I guess it's like a step by step. You have to allocate some time while you are working in a job that you don't like.
And when you're exhausted and stressed.
You're exhausted and you hate your CEO and he's been an a-hole, you know what I mean? We all have those ones somehow in our lives. And it's like, just like little bit by little, I kind of like learned. And so it was the time that like I'd done the research in a ways to be able to do it. Did I answer the question correctly?
So you did lots of research, you're thinking about transitioning from your job, so you've done lots of research, and then you set up this company. So and you've done it that way.
Okay, so yeah, but like it wasn't actually, I didn't set it up first. So I first made different formulas, and the blend that I was using myself. And I am not a doctor, so I can't sign off on formulas, right? So I had to get a doctor to do that, and also I had to get another diploma in nutrition and naturopathy, so I can be certified in Australia to be able to get the license for having a whole food supplement line to be able to practice under TGA. So that was, again, like you have to allocate time to study and do the research. So it was a 7 years research to total it up before starting the company. So the company, I launched the company in 2000, like literally one day before 2020. So 30th of December. And like that was the registration I made, but basically it's 2020. So it's been 2 years only, but behind these 2 years, there is another 7 years of trials and research and like, hard work as well. Yeah.
So it wasn't just an overnight decision, although I think you did launch during COVID, right?
Yes, exactly. It was 2020, literally 3 months before we went to the lockdown.
Good timing. Well, I think a lot of people were affected by this. It's just what happened. And how did you find that COVID affected on your fledgling business?
It was really hard because when you have a new brand, people don't know about it. You have to be out there to promote it. You have to be like talking about it. You have to go to shops and place the product. And you have to also be able to in an operation. So it's not only like the sales part of it, the production of the product has a procedure which has to be like supervised, and it has to be like I had to train people in order to do those things. And most of our products, all the formula and everything's are patent and IP, and like even our design, like the products, because when you take the capsules, you'll see what you take. So for example, like I show you one of the capsules. If
your product is so beautiful.
So these are all like designed in a ways that like you see the ingredients, right? So this is an IP design in Australia. So it needs, like when I train people, I have to make sure they kind of like have the confidentialities in place, all those things. And then when COVID happened, I had to let them go so they can get like the government help, because I couldn't afford paying them at the very earliest stages of the whole their salary. So it was very challenging, but challenge makes you find ways in a way that like you always have to be able to adapt yourself and find different ways in business. You can't be narrow-minded or like very straight. You have to be able to take different roads and like adjust yourself. It's a way, like for some people it might be easy depending on their products and their kind of like industry. Like maybe IT would be really easier than a product-based, health-based that people don't know yet. For me, it's like it's been like a roller coaster, but it's worth it. So I really love it to see people, when people give me their feedback and also like changing their lives. It's just, for me, that's the moment. That's the growth for me.
Well, yeah, and I guess we've all had to grow during COVID, but I wanted to go back to your beautiful packaging. I know we saw one of your capsules and we couldn't see it very clearly necessarily onto Zoom, but okay. I do really want to congratulate you for your packaging, because your packaging is just really beautiful. So you obviously do have quite a flair for design. Did you come up with the look and the feel of the packaging yourself, or did you get it outsourced?
No, I did everything myself. So having that landscape architecture background and design background as an urban designer, so I know lots of skill. I have a graphic design skill as well. But like for me, simple and like simplicity is very important. And I wanted something earthy, but I also didn't want, like, because we are a carbon neutral company, which we help people to understand taking natural ingredients actually decrease the carbon footprint, and that all these supplements and food they take, because they're all coming from nature, there is no productions in terms of chemicals and synthetics, so it doesn't create more carbon dioxide in the environment. So we are a carbon neutral. So the packaging was for me important to be 2 colors, so it won't be, but it also initiates the premium kind of look to the customers, so they get the feeling of actually this is the premium product they're taking. So I designed everything myself, and I came up with the idea of the name and everything, so all the branding, and yes, I didn't have money to outsource it, so I had to do it myself.
Well, this is it. Like often you do have to DIY fairly early on. But I do also want to ask you about marketing. I know you're very active on social media, especially in Instagram. So, what has been your marketing plan or marketing approach to getting the word out there about your product?
Yes. So for me, Instagram is a very great platform. So I normally think people are very vigilant and use that platform more than even Facebook for our kind of like marketing. So for me, Instagram is the main platform for marketing, and then Facebook, it's less, to be honest. And the reason again is because it's oversaturated. We also do a newsletter, monthly newsletter, and we send people different information about like the health and wellness, and also like the sales or promotion we have as well.
Do you have a target market for your products? Do you know who your ideal customer is or your demographic?
Yeah, so our avatars, like which we call it in marketing, is mostly like those people who are in between the age of 28 to 65, male or female they can be, but mostly female are more interested in their health and wellness. Also they kind of like fitness fanatics and very environmental, and they look into premium products and that are replacement for synthetic and chemicals pills. So that's kind of a target market. We actually have like 2 target markets, one in Australia and one overseas, which is like the market we have in Australia is like mostly around Canberra, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And overseas, we have lots of interest from China and Brazil.
Yeah, there's a huge premium in China for natural products. So you obviously fulfill that need quite strongly. So no, thank you for that. So now, what advice would you have for someone who's trying to start up something, someone who has an idea for, selling a product? If looking back to your younger self 7 years ago when you first came up with this idea, what advice would you have given to yourself? What advice would you give to other people who are looking to start out?
Yeah, sure. I would say find people who already done it and go to them and ask how they've done it. So I would say, like, don't waste your time on like doing everything by yourself. Find places, find people that actually can help you and support you. There is like lots of networks. Like if I knew 7 years ago about Sibrin, for example,
Canberra Innovation Network.
Canberra Innovation, yeah, I would like, it might help me like to achieve what I wanted in 3 years. Like support is very important. Places that they know what they do is important. So I would say, like, probably if you want to start something, know what you want to do, but go and talk to people who already done it and just follow their path and get help from them, because that will help your process a lot. And yeah, for me, that would be something. And also, like, when you want to start something, know that it's not going to always be sun and rainbow. It's going to be storms. It's going to be flooded. It's going to be rainy. So be open to any changes, and know that, like, you will build resilience, and the first product you make might be ugly and might be not really perfect, but you have to start somewhere and you can't wait for a perfect timing. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would so agree with that. You can't wait for things to be perfect. When I launched my podcast, it wasn't perfect. When I wrote my first book, it wasn't perfect. Nothing I've done is perfect. I'm currently writing an article for someone at the moment, and I have a bit of anxiety about it because, you know, it sounds stupid, right? Because I'm a writer, but, you know, every time I write something, there's always typos. I mean, I read things very thoroughly. I get other people to read what I've written. I run it through Grammarly, which is an editing software program. But if you've written an article with 1,000 words in it, like, what are the chances are that you're going to get something not right, right? Like a full stop or a comma or a semicolon or a capitalization or the grammar not quite right or too much passive voice. Like, the chances with writing and getting something wrong are quite high, and all professional writers will get things wrong. There's I would be very surprised if there's a single book out there that doesn't have a typo. My first book, when I did the audio, it had one typo. The second book had one, but then we noticed a second one, so two in the whole book, which is pretty good, right? But, you know, this need to get things perfect, and that's after going through a very rigorous editing process, I might add, with the third book, with me writing it, being checked by multiple people, such as my husband, going through 3 rounds of editing with a professional editor, and there's still 2 typos. But what I'm saying is that if I let that need to be perfect stop me from writing, I would never write. So you just always, with the first draft, got to go, look, let's just get it down on paper, and then we can work with that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like, it's in some ways it's good to be a perfectionist. Like, I used to be really like that, but like, if you have to see, nothing is perfect in this world, and it's good to have that kind of like mindset, but it can be also very challenging to have it, because it can be a break for you. Like, it doesn't let you to move forward, so you need to kind of sometimes shift your ideas and be flexible about things.
Yeah, exactly. And then take on feedback back with that. So, you know, I have a very good friend who often tells me about typos in my blogs because I'm too close to it. I'm just like busy getting the thoughts out of my head. So I don't, like I said, even though I do read things and edit them several times and run it through a particular program that's very good, get my husband to read everything, it's always things that slip through, and you just work with that. Anyway, Swan, it has been such a delight to be able to connect with you. Please do go back into the Joyful Business Club and share your contact details so people know how to contact you, how to find more about what you do. And if you have any special offers for them, please feel free to share that there. And thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.